Hello, I'm Paul Wilkinson. We're filming from my Kathmandu home. I've been based in Nepal for the last 7 years, making documentaries about shamanism and about Nepali culture. And I've got a group of 5 metal masks here, which are part of my wider shamanic collection. These are from an area near Jajrakot, which is in far west Nepal. And I've yet to find out more about these, but I'm making the video partly to show the masks, and also partly to see if other viewers know more about them. Later in the year, I'm planning to make a proper filming trip over there, and so I'll show you what I know and a little bit about the interpretation of them. So this wonderful mask is a tiger. And you can see it's made of metal. It's been done with the lost wax technique, so you can see where it's been, where they've made it with little strands of wax, and then they poured the metal into the mould, and that's burnt the wax away. Interesting, because of the tongue and the extra teeth and the whiskers here. Really sort of primitive but wonderful. Really wonderful. And you see the marks inside as well, where it's sort of ritually decorated, as well as where this has been done in rituals, not just painted, but it's been done with sort of mud. So really interesting. And the tiger is often seen as a sort of power animal. So sometimes the tiger is a vehicle that the shaman rides on. Sometimes a helper to help the shaman go through the different worlds, and also a mediator from one world to another. So I have an amazing Indonesian mask called a tiger barong, and that mask had taken many months to make, and they'd actually been giving offerings to the tree for about 30 years before they'd actually cut the wood from the living tree for the mask, made by a mask maker called Wayan Tanggu, who's recognised as the best mask maker in Indonesia, who's also a sort of high priest. So there's a lot of parallels where the tiger is helpful and a power figure. So the barong, for instance, has a few strands of hair from every virgin girl in the whole area, and it's got this big long beard. So it's a figure of power and a sort of guide for the shaman. And there is a branch of Himalayan shaman called tiger shamanism, where the shaman goes into trance and becomes like a tiger, and comes back, goes hunting while they're in tiger form, and comes back covered in blood, where they've run down a big deer or some other animal. I've yet to film that, but hopefully I'll find an opportunity while I'm here. So here we here's a water buffalo with the shaman figure between the horns. Very nice, where you can see the natural shape of the animal. I've yet to see these used and danced, so hopefully I'll find that this year. Here's a goat, again with the shaman between the horns. So the horns often related to the upper world. You can really see how they know the animal, can't you? You can see I have a collection of skulls back in England, from my art background, for drawing. They're really wonderful. You can see that beautiful curve. So the shaman sat up here between the horns. Here, probably goat. The ears have broken off over time. So I learnt something interesting today, that I had always thought that the aluminium masks were necessarily much younger, but I found out today that they had been casting in aluminium for many hundreds of years, because the source aluminium was a raw material here. So I'm going to be looking into that a lot more. But I love the directness and the simplicity, and you can see where the mud are probably mixed with things like yogurt and stuff also have been used ritually and then dried. Quite often the shaman drums end up with this as well. I mean, the objects are very interactive, so they're used in many different forms. They're left on the altars, they're hung sometimes around the temples, and then obviously they're danced in trance and so on. So it's an ongoing process of respect, of feeding them, of using the energy to access other parts of the unconscious. This one, very, very unusual again. It's a sort of shrew with a long pointed nose. Possibly could be connected to Ganesh as his vehicle. Again, I've never come across this before. You can see very roughly cast where it's had air bubbles in the metal as it's poured, but the little shrew mouth and the nose, really quite extraordinary. Very, very sort of rustic, but interesting. So in a shamanic context, each of these animals would have their own quality, the tenacity, the mischief, the strength, the wildness, the fierceness, maybe the inquisitiveness, the sense of smell going into something, the ability to follow something in the underworld through small passages. So when you're learning to read a symbolic world, a symbolic language, you need to think about the qualities of maybe in this case of the animals, but also the qualities of the materials. So very much as in Western art, you've got this idea of being true to materials. So you're using the quality of the materials to express something, to assist the expression of the artist, and the artist also being true to the quality of the materials, bringing out the grain of the wood or the grain of the stone, working with it rather than against it. You've got something similar happening in shamanic magical objects, because they're using the quality of the materials, that sense of touch, that sense of hardness or strength, on one level in a practical way, but so these are very, very durable, but also in this they're using all the materials for their own quality. So you find animal teeth and feathers and horns and all sorts of crystals and rocks. Everything is emanating a type of life force, and the creating an image of something is also a way of animating the materials, animating a particular type of spirit that where the object assists the shaman into entering that world. So as I find more information, I'll do a follow-up on these. I'm making a whole series of videos on ritual objects, on shamanism, and on related festivals and rituals. I'm making several TV series out here in Nepal, which are well under process. So I've been here doing this for the last 7 years. So hope you found that interesting and useful. Do subscribe and let me know if there are other things you'd like to hear videos about. And I'll see you at the next one. Thank you.